A very good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and you are just in time for The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your ambassador, Susan Nganga. To our first story, the Nairobi Business District was brought to a standstill yesterday as angry protesters took to the streets to demand justice for blogger Albert Ojwang. The result was property destruction, injuries, and the police displaying their rogue as one of them shot an unarmed man at close range. Victor Oduni has more.
These were the scenes in the Kenya's capital for the better part of the day yesterday. In a quest for justice for the macabre killing of a teacher-cum-blogger Albert Ojwang in a police custody, the angry protesters poured themselves on the streets of Nairobi to demand justice for the late blogger. The protest had begun on a peaceful note in the morning hours of the day, until a team of goons infiltrated the demonstrations in the name of coming to protect the Nairobi Central Business District. The goons, well armed, were wielding clubs, ready to unleash terror. They claimed to have been hired by a senior politician in the city.
Tunasema no looting today. Huyu alishashikwa, hakuna maandamano. Na leo tumekuja hapa kuweka backup. Watu wasiibiwe. Sisi ndo tumesema. Sisi mavijana tumesema. Amani.
Property got destroyed and people were injured. The ugliest part of the demo was when a trigger-happy police officer went berserk and pulled his trigger on an innocent civilian. This is Embakasi South MP Babu Owino condemning the incident.
Who is deeply outraged by the senseless violence we are witnessing. The recent attacks by goons on innocent people are not just cowardly. They are a direct assault on the values we hold dear as a society. The value of peace, value of dignity, and justice. Let me be clear today with what is happening in Nairobi at the CBD. There is no place for violence in a civilized society. No ideology, no agenda, no grievance justifies raising a hand against another human being.
The Independent Police Oversight Authority, IPOA, has said that the rogue police officer had been arrested.
The conflict in Sudan is being fueled by a constant flow of weapons into the country. This is according to Amnesty International, which stated in a new briefing. The briefing documents how recently manufactured foreign weapons have been transferred into and around Sudan, often in flagrant breach of the existing Darfur arms embargo, as Davis Karani now reports.
Amnesty International found that recently manufactured or recently transferred weapons and ammunition from countries including China, Russia, Serbia, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and Yemen are being imported in large quantities into Sudan and then in some cases diverted into Darfur.
Now we know the kind of arms that are being used: heavy artillery, modern warfare, drones, and in fact they have escalated.
Up to date, more than 16,650 people have been killed since the escalation in conflict between Sudanese and Rapid Support Forces in April from 2023. Amnesty International has documented civilian casualties in both indiscriminate strikes and direct attacks on civilians. Some of the international humanitarian law violations by parties to the conflict amount to war crimes. More than 11 million people are estimated to have been internally displaced and millions are at the risk of famine.
In terms of international responsibility, we urge all states to respect and enforce the arms embargo under United Nations Security Council Resolution 1556.
The Amnesty International analyzed more than 19,000 shipment records from 2 different trade data providers and reviewed open source and digital evidence, including approximately 2,000 photos and videos showing recently manufactured or recently imported weapons in Sudan. Amnesty International also interviewed 17 regional arms and Sudan experts between February and March 2024 to cooperate data analysis and investigate weapon supply lines used by various groups.
The attack on these humanitarian workers and human rights defenders is really crippling the delivery of aid in a lot of these communities. It has impact on starvation, it has impact on famine, it has impact on access to basic things like food, like the kitchens that they actually organize.
Despite the
Davis
military's
Karani,
triumphant
GBS
recapture of
News.
the capital Khartoum earlier this year,
In a historic move, the United Kingdom Parliament has voted to decriminalize abortion in England and Wales, removing criminal sanctions for women who terminate their own pregnancies. The amendment passed with 379 votes in favor and 137 against, was added to the Crime and Policing Bill and spearheaded by Labour Member of Parliament Tony Antoniazzi. This change aims to protect women from prosecution under antiquated laws dating back to 1861, particularly in cases involving online abortion pills rather, or termination beyond the 24-week limits. Now we move forward to what's happening in the Middle East amid a rapidly escalating air war between Israel and Iran. United States President Donald Trump has called for Iran's unconditionally surrender, rather intensifying global tensions and drawing mixed international reactions as the conflict enters its 6th day with rising casualties and fears of a broader regional destabilization. Here are the details.
Tensions in the Middle East surged as U.S. President Donald Trump called for Iran's unconditional surrender, intensifying already volatile air between Israel and Iran. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump warned Iran to abandon its nuclear ambitions or face even more brutal consequences. Although he stated the U.S. does not currently plan to target Iran's supreme leader directly, he affirmed unwavering support for Israel and hinted at potential U.S. military involvement. The conflict, now in its 6th day, has seen heavy Israeli airstrikes on Iranian military and missile installations, including Qujr site and institutions affiliated with the Revolutionary Guards. Iran responded with missile attacks on Israeli cities such as Tel Aviv, while ground clashes erupted in Ray. Civilian casualties are climbing, with over 220 Iranians and 24 Israelis reported dead. Emergency evacuations continue as the U.S. deploys additional reinforcements to the region. Global leaders remain divided on the crisis. French President Emmanuel Macron cautioned against escalating military pressure, warning that attempts at regime change could destabilize the region. While Macron pushed for diplomacy, Israeli and German officials backed Trump's firm approach. The division underscores the global stakes in a conflict that threatens to spiral beyond regional borders.
The ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with even more.
Hello, my name is Nyabio. I'm from Mahanim. Call this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian-based. And when I see Christian-based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think the school is the best school your children can go to.
But what is the problem? The problem, people don't want to hear the voice of Jesus, and they don't want to live through the voice of Jesus. But most of the time, people are living their life of struggling. The people who died before receiving Jesus Christ, the people who died in sin, those people, they will go to the judgment, they will go to the fire, and those people will say that they are dead because they will face the second death, which is the hellfire. People without knowing this, people think that, no, I should do something. No, I need to do something. Why? Because they don't know exact heart of God. They don't know exact will of God. And through this, God allowed His goodness. God allowed the problems in our life. And when God allowed this goodness leads us to
long-distance relationship.
First of all, the world is now a global village thanks to technology and the internet.
When you talk about relationships, when you talk about love, when you talk about feelings, when you talk about emotions, all these things originate from the heart. I never saw in the Bible where someone was married and then the wife was living far away from them, and then there was something that they were building.
When it comes to relationships and probably communication, that distance is not a barrier.
Yeah.
But it is in communication, in effective communication. There is something that long-distance relationships lack, which is very essential for effective relationship building.
When you're cooking and the tap gets spoiled, do you try to repair it from that point, or you run to the main source and then you close it?
Today is all about models, models, models. So girl Alison, you tuned into Art Club, the best art show in the whole of East Africa.
My name is Abigail Paula, but on my socials I go with Peaches Paula. Yeah. I did procurement and logistics.
How do you deal with those negative comments? I'm a rejection.
Yeah.
How do you advise me?
But the heaviness of it. Rejection is redirection.
Now you were crowned Miss Kenya UK.
Yeah.
Lakini before we get there, I want to know your journey towards that title.
Started with Miss Freshers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I ended up being the first runners-up.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin now. For a third time since taking office in January, President Donald Trump plans to extend a deadline that will require China's ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. business. ByteDance was nearing the deadline of June 19 to sell TikTok's U.S. operations in order to satisfy a national security law that the Supreme Court upheld just a few days before Trump's second presidential inauguration. Under the law, App Store operators like Apple and Google and internet service providers will be penalized for supporting TikTok. President Donald Trump is set to extend the deadline for ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, to divest its U.S. operations for a third time. The new executive order, expected to be signed this week, will grant TikTok another 90 days to finalize a sale or face a potential ban in the United States. This move comes after previous extensions in January and April, with the latest deadline set to expire on June 19. Trump and the White House have repeatedly stated that they do not want TikTok to go dark, emphasizing the app's popularity, especially among young voters, and the administration's desire to ensure American users' data security. despite bipartisan legislation passed last year requiring ByteDance to divest TikTok or see it banned. The Trump administration has continued to delay enforcement. The White House says the 90-day extension will be used to work towards closing a deal that will place TikTok's U.S. operation under American ownership. Moving forward, Iran's 86-year-old supreme leader Ayatollah cuts an increasingly lonely figure. Khamenei has seen his main military and security advisors killed by Israeli airstrikes, leaving major holes in his inner circle and raising the risk of strategic errors, according to 5 people familiar with his decision-making process. We'll keep him updated as that story develops. Now we move forward. Social sharing Prime Minister Mark Carney announced billions in support for Ukraine and tougher action against Russia on Tuesday as he condemned Russia's barbarism following its deadliest attack this year on Kyiv. Standing next to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ahead of a sideline meeting on the final day of the G7 summit in Alberta, Carney said a new $2 billion package will fund helicopters, drones, and ammunition. His office said money is going towards armored vehicles as well. Canada is also lending the war-torn country $2.3 billion to help rebuild its infrastructure and public system. The Prime Minister's office said the loan will be repaid by interest charged on Russian assets frozen in Europe.
International partners, we're launching a major new package of sanctions on individuals, on companies, on vessels, the Shadow Fleet, to exert maximum pressure on Russia. We're also sending over $2 billion in funding for drones, ammunition, armored vehicles to help Ukrainians defend their territory, as well as a $2.3 billion loan to help rebuild the infrastructure in that country. And take a moment to reiterate our condolences given the barbarism witnessed overnight in Kyiv caused by Russia.
Joint statement specifically on Ukraine.
The joint statement specifically on
Ukraine. It's in your
Ukraine.
presidential statement or your chair statement, but it is not signed by the 7 leaders. Why is that the case? What happened?
Nothing. Okay. This was discussed by all 7 leaders. Well, it's more than 7 because we have the presidents of the European Commission and the presidents of the European Council last night at dinner. These exact words, and they're in my chair's summary. We had, as I said in French, we had a declaration given the exceptional and fast-moving situation in Iran. We concentrated on that, and as a specific one, I held this for my...
Interesting developments going on now. Kenya's Harambee Starlets are flying high at the CECAFA Senior Women's Championship in Tanzania. The team recorded the 2nd straight win with a strong 4-0 victory over Uganda. Our sports reporter now brings us the highlights from the match.
Kenya's Harambee Starlets showed their strength again at the Azam Complex in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, this time beating Uganda 4-0 in their 2nd group match of the CECAFA Senior Women's Championship. The Starlets started the tournament with a 3-0 win over Burundi, and they kept the same strong energy against Uganda. Coach Beldino Demba made 4 changes to her team, giving goalkeeper Lilian Awor a start, while bringing in Fasila Othiambo, Enes Mango, and Lavenda Akinyi. Kenya came out fast and didn't take long for the goals to come. Kenya stayed solid in the 2nd half. Uganda tried to fight back, but the Kenya defense, led by captain and woman of the match, Dorcas Shikobe, stayed strong. With just 8 minutes left, Shikobe crossed the ball into the box, and Martha Amunyo rose high to head it in. Kenya 4th goal of the day. Reporting for GBS Sports, I'm Klein Mungai.
A strong showing by the Starlets as they chase regional glory. We're keeping an eye on their next match against South Sudan. Stay with us for more sports updates. Now to our next story. One of the greatest athletes of all times is taking on a new role, this time off the track. Sprinting legend Usain Bolt has been named the official ambassador for Expo 2027 in Belgrade. On his first visit to Serbia, Bolt met with President Alexander and shared his passion for sports, youth development, and global cooperation. Here's a closer look at this high-profile partnership and what it means for the world stage.
Athletics legend Usain Bolt has been named ambassador for Expo 2027 in Belgrade, following a meeting with Serbian President Alexander Vučić. Bolt's visit marks his first time in Serbia, where he was warmly welcomed and praised the nation's rich sporting history.
First, I just want to thank the Prime Minister and people of Serbia for making me ambassador for the Expo 2027. For me, it's an honor. I've known about your country for years. I've had friends from your country for years. We know great players, sports stars from your country, and for me it's an honor to actually be here for the first time.
Bolt expressed his gratitude for the ambassador role, saying it is an honor to represent an event focused on unity and progress.
Sports has brought the world together all around. I think the World Cup, you watch a World Cup, you watch all the tennis games, people are so glued to their TV and they come one to either support or sometimes just to hate the team, you know what I mean? But it's so much togetherness, and I think it's very important and something that I continue supporting and loving, you know, even though I'm retired, but I love sports and I love play.
He highlighted the power of sports and play in shaping young lives, a message he continues to support passionately, even after retirement. Expo 2027 in Belgrade will bring together over 120 countries to showcase global innovation, creativity, and collaboration. With Bolt as its ambassador, the event gains not only star power, but a powerful voice for inspiration and international connection. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
Congratulations are in order. That's all for today at The Ambassador. Thank you for joining us as we cover the latest developments. We'll keep you more updated on these stories and more as they unfold. Remember, this is The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I have been Ambassador Susan Nganga. Have a good afternoon.
Everywhere, GBS.